Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories. Today, we're going to go through the launch of the credit and funding program. Should be shared here on your screen. And it's not just about better credit, it's about actually getting at least 100,000 in funding as well. We're going to go through a brief PowerPoint introduction of the credit and funding program. We'll make sure you have a copy of that if you need that to personalize it. Then we'll go through a flyer that does a good job of describing it in a one-page scenario, as well as addressing who should participate. We'll get that to you in editable format as well if you need. So let me go ahead and let's get started with going through the credit and funding program. So the credit and funding program provides a turnkey solution to position participants in becoming capital ready by strengthening all three C's. We've talked about this many times before: credit, collateral, and capacity, resulting in a minimum of $100,000 capital raise. And our 501c3 contact information is shown bottom left corner. Again, if you need an editable version of this, you'll put your information there. So first of all, what does it take to get funded? That's a very important question to start with. Well, there's really not a mystery. Regardless if it's a mortgage, an auto loan, business financing, or any type of funding, it comes down to meeting the underwriting criteria known as the three C's, like we just mentioned: credit, collateral, and capacity. So the credit and funding program is designed to quickly assist individuals in those three areas. So let's talk about what we do to help increase credit scores. So at no charge, there's no cost for the credit sweep. What we're doing here is working with our legal team to block applicable negative items. And then secondly, we have the credit boost to add positive. Because what's the recipe? What's the formula for great credit? It's the absence of negative and the presence of positive. So that's exactly what's built in here to improve credit scores. Now, is that all that it takes to have a really strong file? No, there's more to it than that. Also, there's the other two C's, right? Three C's: credit, collateral, and capacity. So from a collateral perspective, having adequate collateral for funding approval is crucial. Again, at no charge, we'll provide real receivables, real assets that can be turned around and collected, but also pledged as collateral. Income verification is a common issue that we see clients need help with. Maybe they don't have enough money coming in to qualify for funding, or the way that it's coming in and the way that they're tracking it, the way they're recording it, is not suitable for funding approval. So we're going to fix that as well. So ultimately, what we'd like to do is work with you to get you at least $100,000. We'll be able to see results very quickly in less than a week. What's really nice about this is instead of it being an advance fee payment program, you pay for results, not promises. And again, we guarantee the results. So that's a quick PowerPoint. Let me stop the share for a moment. And what I want to do then is switch over to the flyer, because I'd like you to see the flyer, and I think that will help us better understand it as well. So give me just a second here, and I will share just a second here the flyer. Okay, so if all's going well now, you should see the flyer, the credit and funding flyer. If you don't, let me know, and we'll figure out how to fix it. So with the credit and funding flyer, this is again going to be provided to you in editable format, so you can change the bottom information here. So with this, it describes that what we're doing is not just helping with better credit, but actually providing funding as well, because the key to getting approved, as we've talked about, are the three C's. As far as who should participate, we have a nice bulleted list here, and then we're going to talk about some advanced strategies that I think will really intrigue you in just a second. But let's go through this flyer first. On the left-hand side, it's essentially reiterating what we just discussed. The credit sweep is free. That's the removal of negative. The credit boost, the adding of positive trade lines, which is free. The help with the income verification, which is free, and the collateral, which is free. So then once we have a strong file, then of course funding is easily attainable and guaranteed. As I mentioned before, we believe you'd want to pay for results, not promises, so the payment is after the capital raise. So, but here's really what I wanted to focus on this flyer. Who needs this? So first of all, we see some individuals who have income limitations. So they want to borrow money, but they don't have enough capacity, enough cash flow to qualify. So this is a solution to that problem. Individuals who have been denied financing, loans, or credit before is another good target audience. Some people are finding that when they do apply for financing, they're only getting approved for small amounts. That would mean that we could improve their profile so they get approved for larger amounts. Some individuals don't have a strong PFS, and I don't know if you're familiar with that or not, but a PFS, personal financial statement, reflects the individual's net worth. Well, again, the credit and funding program will make that stronger. Some individuals don't necessarily have bad credit. They just sometimes don't have a strong enough credit profile. They're lacking trade lines, and so we can address that again, as we've discussed. It's great for individuals that's getting ready to either buy a home, finance a car, and or obtain business funding. So the gist here is the credit and funding program complements our Shelf Corp. Our Shelf Corp, which we've talked a lot about, is alive and well and doing amazingly well. It's about having a fundable business. But what we're finding sometimes is some of the clients aren't fundable on an individual level. And so that's what we're attempting to address with the credit and funding program. So I want to hit you with one advanced strategy here, and then we're going to open it up for questions and answers. So I see Near, you've got a question. Anyone that has a question, comment, concern, if you can type it into the Q&A. So let's put all this together. So if you and I want to help others have a stronger borrowing capacity, regardless of what they want to borrow, the credit and funding program will most likely be a good fit if they have credit issues or money issues, because those are the two that affect your borrowing capacity. But let's talk about an advanced topic. What if someone has a tax issue? How could this program help someone resolve an income tax obligation? Here's exactly how it can work. And we can get a client enrolled in the credit and funding program. In terms of the credit improvement, it's not instant. There's different strategies that our legal team can use, the quickest of which is 4 days, FOUR, 4 days, less than a week, 4 business days. So let's say that someone enrolled in the credit and funding program, and we want to jump right in and get the credit profile resolved. So now we're removing the applicable negative items. So now their credit's not the problem, but we said in this scenario that what they have is a tax issue problem. Well, what we can do is go to a car dealership and buy a company car. We did this December 3rd of last year. We went to Mercedes-Benz of Plano, Texas. We bought a new G-Wagon, G63. I forget the exact purchase price, but it was around, I think, total everything financed around $186,000 bought in the company's name. Now, was there a PG? Was there a personal guarantor required for it? Yes, but hear me out. Doesn't report on personal credit, but now we have a new asset of the company, which of course we drive, and you could drive your company vehicle. Well, using Section 179 of the IRS tax code, we can depreciate that full amount of that vehicle up front, where normally you could only depreciate the amount right off, if you will, the amount you spent. In other words, if you finance the new company vehicle over 5 years, you think, well, I could only deduct 20% of it a year because it takes 5 years to pay it off. But with the IRS code section 179, we can actually accelerate that and write off the full amount. So now we have almost a $200,000 legal and ethical write-off right now that for most people that are carrying IRS tax obligations, that will be more than enough to offset any monies owed. That's a bit of an advanced topic, but let's go ahead and open it up for questions, comments, concerns. So what we're talking about today is the credit and funding program. For those of you who are working with us on the Shelf Corps or the Shelf Corp stores, this will be an optional revenue stream for your Shelf Corp store. You will determine what the pricing is. And of course, it's a new revenue stream for your Shelf Corp store. I think it's a really good fit for those individuals that are coming to you that want a Shelf Corp. That's what they really want, so they can go get large amounts of business funding. But some of your clients or prospective clients just may not be able to afford it. So this would be a way to get them in as a first step and then create the ability that they could afford your Shelf Corp store. Shelf Corp, I'm sorry, from your store. All right, so any questions, go ahead and type them into Q&A. As far as the Claude's asking about the editable flyers, yeah, so you'll have an editable version of the PowerPoint that we just went through. So any of you that have Shelf Corp stores, so you'll remove our information, put yours on it. You'll have the flyer where you'll take our information off and put your information on it. And then you'll have a copy of the credit and funding agreement. And the credit and funding agreement, again, you'll remove our information and put yours on it so you can get clients under contract. That's exactly right. And again, if you're owning a Shelf Corp store, you just like you pick pricing on the Shelf Corps that you sell, you'll pick what pricing, what profit you want to make on the credit and funding. All right, so who has questions off of this? And I think Charles is hitting the nail on the head. This is really creating a fundable person where the Shelf Corp is building a fundable business. And I see Denver on this morning, so this is a great point for Denver, is that if you have someone that comes to you and says, hey, Denver, I don't need a Shelf Corp. I already have a business. So this could be the offering instead, because the Shelf Corp is providing the client everything they need for a fundable business, the entity, the EIN, the address, the financials, the business plan. Well, sometimes some of you are running into individuals who don't need those elements. They just need often help with their credit to be able to get funding. So this is a nice entry point offering that your Shelf Corp stores can offer. And again, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us directly. Here's our contact information. All right, so let's go through the questions and comments. Near says he or she says has a lot of clients with high utilization. So what we would do with a client with high credit card utilization is typically we would get a term loan and move those balances from revolving to a term loan, and then that would immediately allow their credit profile to reflect a much higher score. So that we would add a trade line we would add a revolving trade line, a real trade line. We would move the credit card balances over to that term loan, pay off the credit cards. So there's the answer. And so that is a great example of how we can help people improve legally and ethically their profiles. Celino's asking about the cost of the credit and funding. Celino, it's up to each Shelf Corp store how much they want to charge for the credit and funding program. In our case, we're providing a lot of services at no charge. And as the flyer says, we're charging after funding for the credit and funding program. All right, so let's see what the next question is. Oh, okay. So D'Angelo's asking about the comp structure. So the way that we do it is we charge 10% of the capital raised. So that's our fee structure, 10% of the capital raised, D'Angelo. However, each of our Shelf Corp stores will get the editable agreement. They'll make the changes that they want and set the pricing as they wish. All right, let's see here. Miranda's asking about how do we help individuals? Yeah, so what we do is Miranda, first thing we need to do is educate them about the credit and funding program. So again, we just went through at the beginning of today's Zoom, the brief presentation. So you'll have this PowerPoint that you can walk through with someone. You'll also have an editable version of the flyer with your information at the bottom. And then if they would like to enroll with you through your Shelf Corp store, you'll have an editable copy of the agreement and get them enrolled. And so then with that, we'll do all those things that we said. We're going to do the credit sweep. We're going to do the credit boost. We're going to add the collateral. We're going to help them with the income verification. And then once we've done those four things, then we're ready to go to funding. All right. Near asked about setting up his or her store. Just give Madison a call, if you will, and she can help you. So with the Shelf Corp stores, which isn't the topic today, but just since Near's asking, that's our new distribution model. So in 2025, our goal is to have physical offices in communities across the country. Our ambitious goal is to have 3,000. We won't reach that, but we hopefully will have 1,000 plus or minus stores, physical stores open in 2025, one per county. We're not charging people for that. It's not a franchise or anything. So those of you that are interested in running a local store, it'll be your business. We'll be your back office. You'll be able to help clients with the Shelf Corps themselves, as well as now with the credit and funding. All right. Let's see. Yeah, at this time, Claude's asking, but at this time, this is not an affiliate program. This is through our Shelf Corp stores. Now, keep in mind, Claude, our store owners are going to be having affiliates. So we're going to have, again, hundreds or thousands of store owners, one per county. And so each of them will likely be developing their own team of affiliates. And so I realize some of you want to be an affiliate, not a store owner. But if we're still in the process of building that out. So if you have someone that's interested that could benefit from the credit and funding program, go ahead and reach out to Madison and we'll figure out a way to make it worth your while, Claude. So again, a big picture, our primary goal is to help create fundable businesses through the Shelf Corps. But what we found is some people don't have the ability to buy a Shelf Corp because the way that they've managed their credit or their income. So we needed kind of an entry-level solution to be able to help individuals with that. And so the credit and funding builds a credible person, and which is good enough. I mean, we can go get 100,000 just off this alone. But if they want much larger amounts, then of course we're going to need a credible business, a fundable business as well. Celino's asked, yeah. So when you all come in for everyone that has a Shelf Corp store, you should be scheduled to come in for one of our in-person trainings. and those are typically held every Saturday. So we're going to make sure by the time you leave that 1 day training that you will have your materials, you'll have a marketing plan, you'll know the processes. So on these morning sessions, we can do a quick introduction, but it's impossible to go into all the nuances. So I think several of you are actually scheduled to come in this Saturday, which is great. I think we have a full house, I should say, this Saturday. But regardless, pretty much every Saturday we have the in-person trainings for the shelf core store owners. And so we'll make sure you're fully set up then. The goal today is to make sure that everyone knew about this resource, because some of you take Paulette. Let's see if Paulette's on this morning. Paulette's not, but Paulette enrolled 5 or 6 clients into the Shelf Corp last week, and they each paid their down payment, but none of them got financing approval for purchasing the Shelf Corp store. So this provides an entry point so we can help people have the borrowing capacity to even be able to buy a Shelf Corp store, a Shelf Corp from you, from your store. All right. Well, if there's any questions, best thing to do is to give Madison a call here. Our website for the nonprofit 501c3 nonprofit is 509 Pacific. And then we'll be back tomorrow morning as well if there's anything that we can address for you then. Thanks, everyone, and we hope to see you back tomorrow. Bye-bye.